Justin, 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 you made my lonely life a paradise. A paradise. You made my lonely life a paradise.
Thank the Lord, it's Thursday and we meet each other again. The WIP crew is ready for this virtual event. The seas might be rough, but we will have a jolly time. Is everybody here? Are the avatars in line? There's so much going on in the NFT world. It seems like uncharted sea. Let Matthew and Rizzle guide us through. The speaker is ready and so are we. Let's keep sailing on the metaverse. Thursdays when the lightning strikes. So listen up, there's a lot to learn. Keep the treasure in your sight. Please no one get the veggie draw. Just upgrade your microphone. Together we're strong, we ain't gonna stop. Welcome to the VIP meetup.
There we go. What up, y'all? Quick mic check. Y'all can hear me okay? Clap, clap, clap. Sounding okay? Good audio. There we go. What up? This is Matthew, aka Nifty Time. Welcome. Thank you for the sound effects to the State of the Metaverse WIP. I guess we've been doing this for years. We bring it back every now and then. Bring some of the brightest minds, folks actually boots on the ground building out this thing that we call the open metaverse to get a little bit of an update check. Really excited for the guests we have today. Of course, we have Jin, who needs no introduction, but has been doing the Lord's work for years and years and years, literally living and spending most of his life in the metaverse. Excited to have him back. We have CK Bubbles in here to represent DCL, Justin, of course, from Monaverse, and Ahad from the Webiverse. I'll keep my spiel short so we can get into the panel that we have set up today. But first, as always, got to show a couple things. First of all, free mints. Who doesn't love a free mint? No one. Everyone loves them. Nifty Gateway, Trevor Jones. We have a coordination themed free to claim NFT. Just shared the link. Go there. 1 edition per person, claim it, and you'll be able to enter some limited edition drop that we're going to be doing next week. Again, it's free. Capital F, capital R, capital E free. Outside of that, Rizzle and I were talking about the latest meme coin, shit coin craze, or the season rather, that's come back upon us. If you want to check out what we were talking about and some of the cool experiments that are being run in there by artists, of course, like Rhett or Mankind, give it a listen, give it a share. It was a really fun episode to record. So with that, in order to make sure we maximize the panel today, I'll shut my mouth, pass the mic to Rizzle real quick for a quick update, and then we can get into the panel.
Where did the sound effects come from? I mean, I'm not liking it, but I'm with it. This is new. Yeah, loving the sound effects.
A soundboard thing in Discord that they added, which
right on, man. Well, way to be right up on it, dude. Yo, thank you. It's great, man. Keep it up. Yeah, some housekeeping things. We've managed to confuse a lot of people because we got some new people in the house, and that always happens. So we are in HyperFi. We are going to be doing a little world hopping. This is a world actually made by Jin that I didn't even realize was made by Jin, but Ballistic Banana sent it to me, and it just fit well because it's like a open metaverse like type of play, right? It's like a overlap CryptoVoxels HyperFi spot. So anyway, we'll be doing that. But since we are in there and in here, I just want to make sure everyone knows where we are. Most of the stuff lives in Discord. We are Meme Explorers Discord. The general chat channel is where the links are being dropped and everything's popping off. So hop in there to sort of follow along. And we'll also be, like I said, in HyperFi and a couple other places. So let me catch everyone up to speed on what's going on here today. So like Matt said, we got some legendary panelists. We do this occasionally, and we feel like it's important. You know, the WIP lives like everywhere and nowhere, and the landscape rapidly changes, and it's cool to touch base with people who have like a big overview of the landscape, and we get a chance to pick their brain and see what their takes are and everything. So that's the plan today. As always, stick around. Fabiano and Patricia whipped up a killer NFT for all of us, everyone who signs the guest book. I will drop that link. It's a play on the meme coin thing today that we're all getting, the up and down meme coin. So stick around for that. Everyone will get one of those. Also, everyone who signs the guest book today has a chance to get a whitelist spot for the Crypto Avatars' upcoming drop with their new Vibe rebrand, rebrand and everything. So lots of like interoperable open metaverse like stuff going on today. So yeah, that. We had plans, different plans, and then like Jin hit us up like an hour ago and was like, hey, I got another place we should check out that like, you know, fits into the open metaverse theme. So all the more reason to make sure you're in Discord so you don't get lost if we do a little field trip in like halfway through the panel here. And then we'll end up in a cool spot. We will pass the mic over to Paradox so he can gather us all together and do some sort of wacky group shot. And then everyone will celebrate because we all learned something and got free stuff and had a good time. Of course, we'll pass the mic over to Show for the Afties, who will bring it on home for us and close it all out. Yo, cats will eat you. We got you. We need
the audio just because I am in there, but if Vega is talking, I don't hear him.
Yeah, that's why you got to stay in Discord, Argent, and I'm gonna make sure everyone knows that. So stick around in Discord so you can hear everything that's going on. Anything else? Let's see. I think that's about everything. Cats will eat you needs a VRM. That's what I was about to say. So someone send this man a VRM. They're pretty simple to. There you go. Brookhawk's got you. Just like that. You are clothed. Anyone else who needs one, figure it out, and we'll get you in some sort of wacky something. WIP is. Thank you, sound effect operator. WIP is broke, so if you want to hear me shut up about it, give us all your money or give us your stuff and we'll give it to people or whatever. We're shameless. If you donate to the WIP meetup.eth, it'll get split up amongst the crew. If you trust Matt, he hasn't rugged us in like 2 or 3 weeks and counting, and so we trust him for the most part. He's like 99.9% reliable. But the smart contract doesn't lie, so that's there. So shout out to the crew that makes this happen every week. It's Carolina Dust, Sandy Meows, Foxy Yoga, Easy, Paradox Show, Dragonate, Conwolf the Stowaway, Brookhawk the Chef, Fabiano, Patricia, Johan, Matthias, and of course, Matt. All of our people are really smart. You should follow them all, and they do cool stuff. So check out their cool stuff too. So this is what we're going to do today. I'm going to shut up. I've already spoken too long. And contrary to that, I'm going to tell our request politely that our guests keep their answers reasonably short, maybe 2 minutes or so tops. If you go too long, Samuel L. Jackson may pop in here and tell you to shut the fuck up. That happens sometimes. We just want to make sure everyone has a good opportunity to say what they want to say and get around the horn a couple times. So we'll do a few rounds of questions. We'll open it up to questions from the audience, but we're going to route those through Show. So if you can tag Show in the general chat, if you have any questions about 3/4 of the way through, we'll pass it over to him and he can sort of facilitate those questions to the panel and, curate them and do his show thing that he does so well. So with that, I am finally going to shut up. I'm going to drop the link one more time to Hyperfy. I'm also going to drop the link to the guest list, so keep that on hand. And I'm going to pass the mic back over to Matt to kick this thing off.
Ooh, sound effects for the win. So to kick things off, I don't think we need to go around or introduce anyone. Everyone knows the speakers and especially the projects they're affiliated with. So we don't need to waste time there. So we can get right into the good stuff. To start, would love to hear from the 4 speakers their answer to this question. When they think of the open metaverse in particular, let's put the rose-tinted glasses on and look in the future. And I would love to hear what everyone's ideal version of the open metaverse will look like in a few years' time, all things equal, all things going as planned or as expected. Whoever wants to go first, feel free to unmute, take it away, and then all the other speakers just jump in line and you can start answering that question and going forward in the discussion.
One idea or inspiration, this is Jin talking, by the way, is, I got into crypto during the Bitcoin mining days, and I remember installing a wallet and having an entire backup of the blockchain, ledger. And I just think that aspect where you can have a history of everything and run it kind of locally, and also all these other things built on top of that shared data layer, all these other apps and ways of viewing that database. I think that's a really great metaphor. Like if we could build many front ends for the same data layer, permissionlessly, using open source software that's incentivized to run and distribute the data, that's pretty open.
Yeah, I think I'll piggyback on that and say, that's a very more technical answer to it, but I'll come at it from more of a social lens where, those tools will help make things more connected sociability wise for all of us to be able to jump from world to world, to have our avatars be similar, whether it's the wearables or the avatar shape itself across worlds, ease of access for communication. I mean, you look at the situation here right now where we're in a world and we're in a Discord, or sometimes we're on Twitter Spaces, or sometimes we're streaming on YouTube and Twitch, and it's all very kind of separate third-party disparate things. And how do we bring those all into one so that it's more open? And then I'll add a second layer to that, which is accessibility, and making sure that mobile access, VR access, other ways of accessing it besides just a gaming PC or a really, strong computer with all the specs, and making that just accessible to people in many places so that more people can come here and enjoy and experience what we love about these spaces.
I think accessibility is really, really huge and super important. I think I tend to think more so on the creator side specifically, and around ownership, and the idea of ownership at any user or participant level. But I really like to focus more so on the creator side, and authorship, being able to build assets that you can bring and use anywhere, authenticated on Ethereum. I think these are the building blocks for what an ideal open metaverse would be.
So from my perspective, I would actually like to just say that we are anyways living through unprecedented times. We're living through science fiction, and like if you just go like a bit further ahead, I don't think it's very impossible to like just think about like living in virtual worlds. And the idea of the open metaverse has to be around the simple things of like, are we going to be gatekeeping this? Are we going to like freely let people exist and move between these boundaries? And I think the science fiction version of things doesn't seem too far away. And there are different ways to get there. I think standards and all is just one way to think about it. But at the end of the day, it's about going to be that, are we going to value like individual liberty, or are we just going to like gatekeep things? And while I would have thought that this kind of a vision would be like 20 years away, but I think it just looks like that it might be happening within this decade.
And then from those ideal states that it sounds like incorporate elements of like interoperable identity, varying levels of accessibility, ownership, freedom, like values. Those ideal states that each of you have in mind. If you were to look at the current landscape of everything, and you were to identify the biggest blocker currently facing or in between the present and that ideal state that each of you have, like what is the blocker today in your minds? That single blocker that if you could, like in the order of operations, attack first, solve, and like help us take a couple steps towards the individual ideal open states of the metaverse. What are those blockers? currently. I think identifying what the challenges are, the biggest challenge, will help unroll the conversation a little bit more, and hopefully identify some like practical things that we all need to do or could focus on in order to help move things forward towards that more open state of the metaverse.
Yeah, I think once again, like just going, a bit further into the future, I think the most important thing when it's going to come to Blocker would be they should be actually like every individual should have the right and access to the right hardware and the right connectivity. And that is the most basic things, even before we like talk about like standards and all. I mean, we're all very privileged people. We all have like high performing hardware, we have high performing internet. But these would be the things at which the most basic level of discrimination would start. And I think everyone having that born right to have access to the basic hardware and basic connectivity would be the first step. And standards and like the tools, etc., which we're building, comes on top of it. But I would say the most basic thing would be that. You just imagine, like like if you're born like 10 years into the future and you don't have like the right hardware and the right internet connectivity, you're already like 200 years behind.
Really fair point, buddy.
We have to kind of, see, okay, can I run this thing on, and I use like a 10-year-old, some really old hardware that's, these ThinkPads that are running like Linux and stuff that is like $100 or $200, as well as top of the line stuff I test on. And, we're pretty good at hitting a lot of devices by many of us building on the web, so I think we score pretty high on there. WEBA and DCL and Mona and Hyperfy, all these run on the web, so that's pretty good. Oh, but in terms of challenges, I would say it's always a struggle to coordinate. We're constantly increasing the coordination costs by being in different places at different times, and silos of communication channels is always a struggle. I find myself when I do research, I'm like copy pasting some work in progress stuff between like 3 or 4 different channels at the same time, like a bumblebee, because like all these groups that are working on sort of same stuff kind of are working in different places. And yeah, I think there's ways that we can improve on that front.
I also think adding to that basically, sharing of resources can be a way to help with some of those blockers. I don't know what that looks like when you talk about Wi-Fi and hardware, and how shared resources happen at a local level when it's a global platform, and how you do that also globally to help people locally. But I do think when it comes to the building of the worlds and the platforms, I think this is where a bit of open sourcing and sharing of your resources to help others. If somebody has figured out mobile capability, open source that and share it with another platform so more people can get on it. And I know I always come from a very decentralized mindset, since my first world was Decentraland in the metaverse. And so I do try to find ways to keep that mindset even on centralized platforms, which I don't have issues with some aspects of a business or a project being centralized, because I know it can get chaotic leading something when you have 100,000 voices trying to be appeased to. But I do think that shared resources is a big part of that potentially.
Yeah, I think what everyone is sort of touching on here is really important. And like Jin said, you know, I think we're definitely off to a great start, particularly around the accessibility part of this. But yeah, in terms of the challenge, I think, like, you know, I agree. It's a lot of it has to deal with coordination at this point. You know, we have a number of open standards which are really great, and then it's just a matter of adoption and getting a lot of buy-in from platforms adopting these standards. But you know, I think we're seeing some really great signs. But it's really a long-term future here.
No, this is cool. I actually just got booted from the world, which must mean we got a bunch of people up in there, which is fun. It's awesome to hear sort of everyone's takes on all these things from like a bunch of different perspectives. I would love to hear, you know, just in general, you know, talking about open metaverse. We've got a lot of people here from a lot of different platforms. Although a lot of people who are here, I feel like still sort of consider themselves, you know, part of the same like larger tribe, but there's, you know, there are tribes within tribes, and people tend to pick their favorite platform, their favorite spots. But everyone has like stuff to learn from everybody else, and everyone does cool things. So would love to just sort of go around the horn and hear from people who some takes on things outside of their own tribe or outside of their own stuff that they're working on, going on in the open metaverse that that is cool, they admire, that doesn't really have anything direct to do with current stuff.
I mean, you know, Fortnite is for me the best version of the metaverse in a lot of ways, and especially with the, you know, Fortnite creative mode. I think, you know, Epic has in a very, I would say, like the roadmap has been, and the execution has been flawless. Because, you know, like they get that part of the metaverse, which is that, you know, it's fun, engaging, and, you know, people just keep coming back to it. So yeah, I mean, I think, you know, that's the aspect of that's the one which I really look up to.
Resources towards projects, and I think that Hyperfy is a great builder, and Weverse made a great avatar creator and has some really dope AI stuff, and CryptoVoxels has a really easy way like to make building things accessible. A lot of people got their start in voxels, and the wearables that you see, you know, voxels are super accessible for creators for making wearables or for making parcels. And Monoverse looks amazing, you know, and a lot of these platforms, if not most, I believe most, except for voxels, but getting there, we're all, you know, have adopted VRM. So even more so like the early United States vibe, where you can kind of move freely between all the different platforms with your identity.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think, you know, there are many that would sort of challenge the Fortnite being a metaverse comment, just because of how crypto and blockchain has created these ownable assets for people that give them control within those worlds versus being just another user and a number in their, you know, their revenue gains that they're trying to make, as most AAA games do. And I think I hope if this is like the 13 original colonies, we we're not colonizing somewhere as we're doing that, because being from the US, there's a lot of negative history with that connotation. I do think that, you know, as all these platforms are coming up together, one thing I've realized, you know, I also host a space on Thursday where we explore metaverse platforms, and we have been going to all sorts of platforms, meeting the founders, the builders within it, just general citizens who enjoy the experiences there. And everything we've learned from those experiences is that the more we communicate and talk to each other, the more we learn and the more we want from these spaces. And that information translates, because a lot of times you have one platform that's working really well with the creators and the devs, and they're trying to create all those things that the creators need. And other platforms, it's on the creators to build that stuff because they get the land and then they build that experience. And I find it fascinating that the more we talk, the more we realize what we want and how we can change things. So that may be like very basic and generic to say, but I think we just need to keep communicating and need to keep sharing of the resources, as I mentioned. I guess if I had to say a platform that does it well, I mean, I'm a little biased. I think Decentraland does a really great job because it gives the creators a lot of control all around and what they can do, from wearables to building to owning land to DCL worlds. The DAO is another great thing that somebody touched on, which, you know, we essentially govern a lot of what happens in Decentraland through the grant system. And we are actively funding experiences in Decentraland and education and platform changes. And as a community, to be able to have that input and connection to not only the DAO facilitators, the community, but also the foundation amongst all that, is kind of a really wonderful ecosystem to feel like we're growing something that has a bit more meaning to it. But I still find that because these other platforms like Mona and Hyperfy and Spatial, you still have access to the devs and the teams that are working on it, and it still feels like we have a lot of control. Sorry. Shut up now.
Someone also always has to be the first to get Samuel. Appreciate you very much, CK. Justin, any takes on people, I guess in your case, outside of Monaverse, who are doing like really cool stuff contributing to the open metaverse?
Oh yeah, well, you know, I'm gonna have to mention cyber brokers, and I see Mike in here, Cartarl, and there's probably a couple others in here, but yeah, I think kind of, and also going back to one of the previous questions of like, what is it going to take to really like get to this open metaverse? You know, I think at like the creation and project level, adoption is also really important, just as important, if not more so, than at the platform level. You know, I think Cyber Brokers is a really, really fantastic example of a project that has adopted, you know, these open standards, in particular around their mechs that they've released, and you know, that taking just a fantastic approach, being a metaverse native brand and IP, building this incredible storyverse, and releasing these mechs that anyone can use, and in a multitude of files, you know, everything from the high res files, the FBX files, and then multiple you know, GLB formats, and then the VRM that you can use inside of any of these platforms. So yeah, I think that's a really, really fantastic project to highlight that we really love. Yeah, they're just like, yeah, Josie, Mike, their entire team is just crushing it. Yeah, that's a, I mean, including all of that, it's really, really setting the standard, I think, for other projects who want to work towards this future.
Actually, that rolls into one of the questions that I saw come into show. So I'm gonna close my portion with like one more question. We'll go around the horn one more time, and then a lot of people have been pinging show with questions in the general chat. Yeah, so please continue to ping show, and we'll pass the mic over to him. And maybe take a little field trip in a sec for anyone who got crashed out or is wanted to go see some things. But would love to give everybody up. You know, it wouldn't be the WIP if we didn't give everyone the opportunity to talk like little shit. So you don't have to, but would also love to go around the horn and sort of play opposite to that question. And we're all fam here, so it's all good, right? Is there anyone out there, you don't necessarily have to name names, but there's been a lot of entrants into the metaverse space. Anyone out there who you feel like has got it wrong or is going in the wrong direction or is not really good for the open metaverse? And I'll just sort of open it up to anyone who's brave enough to take a stab at it. Easy wants to hear it. Yeah, anyone, I mean, you can like phrase it nicely if you want, but would love to hear everyone's take on anything that's like looking sort of sus.
I don't know that I have some specific project or brand that I would call out or platform, but what I do notice is when brands or projects come in the space and they have no understanding of the world whatsoever in the community of that platform and how in which they engage in the platform, that's always going to be a flop for me. So, it may be cool to see a big brand name in the space, but if you're not doing anything with it, then what's the point? It kind of just feels like a waste of all of our time. Hot take, I guess. And also making not paying creators. I don't like when people don't pay creators. Pay people.
Kind of bothering me lately is just how, back to kind of like how a lot of building open metaverse stuff is coordination, and how, ephemeral a lot of where we post is, like Twitter, and how a lot of the sort of social budget, attention budget is spent on things that, it's really difficult to coordinate, I think, right now with the way social media is set up, and a lot of missed opportunities for projects and underrated, under the radar creators that are really kind of pushing the envelope forward. But I think the only solution to that is just to make really dank NFTs, and just that becomes the medium to channel that energy and frustration into, because they're really great at capturing attention and value and all that.
I think my comment is related more to, it applies to all of us, this group, this tribe. I do think that, we live in some sort of an echo bubble sometimes. And like, for example, when I mentioned about Fortnite, the reason is that, at the end of the day, you have to think about adoption numbers. And I think it's a very false hope to think that, we're just like some magical feature away from mass adoption. I don't think that's how adoption works. So I guess we just need to like ask ourselves some hard questions, that whatever we're doing, like, is it going to have the adoption? And I don't think that, just thinking that, okay, we're just like some magical feature away is going to get us to that adoption. So I think these are some more critical things we have to think of. And I guess the metaverse cannot be tied to the hype cycles of crypto. I mean, it's a usability product, and I think the usability should exist with or without the hype cycles as well. So yeah, I would just say that, like thinking a bit more critically and just being a bit more critical about, whatever we're doing, does it, how much legs does it have? Sometimes it could just be, a matter of like time-based adoption that I can accept. But, I think thinking that it's just like some magical feature away from mass adoption, generally, that's not how, product adoption works. So I would say that, if we can just like be a bit more critical about our own selves, and, how we're approaching this, maybe one way to, would be something that I would invite everyone to, think about.
Can I just drop one name in? Has anyone heard of Lamina One? Because they're waving a lot of the banner, in terms of open metaverse, blockchain, virtual worlds, and they got Neil Stevenson.
Yeah, we have heard of them.
But
We've actually,
how are they helping the open metaverse right now? They're creating this blockchain, but did anyone, order a new L1 for, is that something that creators need? Like Null, is that kind of a blocker for you? Or, as an open metaverse creator on so many of these platforms? I know Fediverse exists on so many places, but that's something that it just feels like the LinkedIn state just coming in and sort of taking over the airwaves there. But maybe we need that because, I don't know, I don't want to service LinkedIn types.
I'm really glad you brought this up, Jin, because this is like, without like calling out individual projects or whatever, but I mean, I think it is like really important to say that, I think like a real thing that, we want to try to avoid are, and if it is avoidable at all, are like other projects coming in and kind of, I think like co-opting all the work that everyone is already doing and then trying to say that like, oh, they're building the open metaverse and it's only them. That's like a real serious concern, right? And I'm glad you brought that up. And then I also want to give a shout out to Emotional as another like individual creator who is building a lot of these really incredible cross-platform assets and is thinking through kind of like how to build out his own storyverse. Just want to like give the shout outs here because I think there's a previous question on like really great projects. I think that's another one. But yeah, I think like people coming in, I don't know if you want to call it like Web 2 tech companies or companies forming around like a lot of hype or like, what did you call it? Like the LinkedIn, I thought that was really funny. Yeah, like influencers and then, just forming these like companies building more tech that like no one's really asking for, but then trying to co-opt the whole thing. I don't know. Yeah, I think that's kind of it's a bummer to see, but I think it's just more inspiration for all of us here to continue working together.
And I think people will see through that stuff though. You look at like when Meta came in the space, right? And how much that really pushed and propelled things to a place I don't think any of the platforms were necessarily ready for, because that's when sort of mini wave came through and then you saw it kind of trickle out once that kind of hype of it fell away. And you see what they're doing now where they're kind of stepping back some of their efforts on it. And it's like, you can have somebody, a huge monopoly, name come in and do that. And yet everyone kind of through it. And here we are still building and talking and, creating these amazing things that are growing and thriving. So I'm not too worried about that stuff, to be quite honest, that like people will come in and co-opt and actually like do really well at it. Because I think, we're all here talking about it. Not everyone in the space, but a lot of us, we talk about these things all the time on multiple spaces all the time. So we'll see through it.
I mean, a lot of the people that have been here, right, will see through it. But if some of these bigger entities jump in and start using catchphrases and actually have something that people can use, there's that that potential for new entrants not to see what the negatives of those big companies coming in, trying to co-opt the space and creating like a big moat that prevents and like traps users from experiencing like more of the proper open building that's happening, right? So like, I think calling out the bad actors and being more explicit about it and then presenting the alternatives is really important. Like in the last big bull run, like after Meta came in, when like you had entities like Adidas, like launching partnerships and things like that, people were just speculating into the space, like what buying sand or even like mana, right? You saw more speculation as opposed to actual users coming in doing things. I think that was like a big miss in that last run up. So like what are we doing to provide more outlets for people to actually do things in this space so that when the next wave comes, whether it's a good actor, bad actor, that new infusion of users, like what can we actually orient them to do as opposed to just like passively speculate?
I want to jump in because this I just been listening to talks about regen, and I've been contributing to DAOs for a few years, and it's given me a lot of ideas. Like maybe the onboarding should feel kind of like we gamify Web3 or crypto, however you want to call it next, where we find ways to allocate to the people who do create like attestations of things that people are contributing actual value of, and then we just kind of like find ways of essentially making public goods more sustainable. And I think it's the transition from degen to regen that certain green-pilled folks, especially from the DAO sphere, are talking about. Folks like MetaDreamer is one of them. He had a great Bankless podcast about it. I think DAOs are really red-pilling in that aspect. Like, you learn so much about coordination in such a compressed time. Highly recommend that we look towards that for answers, because I think that's the path forward, and figuring out the mechanisms to reward the builders more so than the speculators.
And also, I think there is also, that's not to say that like no one new can come into the space and like contribute. I think there's definitely like a lot of value that can also be added. So I think it's also important, like, I think I want to check out those podcasts you're talking about, Jen, actually, if you want to drop the links to those. But I think like Matt, you made a great point. It's about like, what can people actually do? How can they actually use things? And I think it seems like we're moving away from this kind of like model of just dropping a token, and then and not to say like that. I think like that was like that sort of like spec hype cycle that kind of drew in a lot of those speculators and people here, and maybe not for the right reasons. But I think that's why projects, like, they should think about like really how to add a lot of value around the user experience and what communities and people can actually do. Awesome, thanks for dropping that there, Jan.
This has been great. Jen, I know there's another space you had in mind that you wanted us to check out. Maybe now would be a good time to drop that in the general chat. You can drop that into Hyperfi. And if we want to take a field trip while we pass the mic over to Show, because I know a lot of questions have been rolling in. So Show, man, if you're ready, do you want to hit the panelists with some of the questions that have been coming in?
Hey, y'all, what's going on? How's my audio?
Sounds good to me.
All right, sorry. Just try to gather all these together. Okay, so hey panel, what's going on? Thank you for all the insightful information. If you're brand new here, welcome, and to everyone else who's returning, what's up? Welcome back. First question is from Drago Nate. He would like to know, actually this is a question for Justin about Mona, but actually for anyone regarding metaverses. When potato mode?
When potato mode? I love this question. I don't know. How about right now? Do we have any potato VRMs? I know there's got to be one or two.
There definitely is one. I just don't know where the link is.
We need the links. Where the links at? We have, let's. Oh, you mean potato, like as in potato hardware?
Sure.
I mean, it sort of depends on. I think it sort of depends on the content that's being loaded. there are definitely some. Oh, nice. Thanks. There's definitely, I mean, specifically like, on the spaces that are on Mona, some of the spaces are heavier than others for sure. But there are some that do run on potatoes. But yeah, I think it's, yeah, that's a hardware thing. 4K graphic pre iPhone flip Razer phone. I want to run these spaces on a Tamagotchi personally.
That's cool. We have another question from Johan. And this is open to the entire panel. So if you haven't spoken yet, please feel free to unmute your microphone and speak up if you're on the panel. What open standards are the most important / exciting right now outside of VRM? You can keep going, panel.
That's a good one.
Speaking of closing gaps, there was talk in regards to implementing certain things for an open metaverse, or more like combining things that are used different platforms all into one, but there being some kind of friction or difficulty. To all panelists, do you think that maybe the answer would be to utilize an AI client in order to kind of glue all these things together, if we aren't able, I guess, as human beings who are really super smart and sentient, able to put these pieces together in a cohesive and flowy way? Or like some kind of LLM, like a language model that's trained specifically on metaverse information, and maybe synergy when it comes to just unifying things, you know maybe that'll help. Maybe we can have some kind of like Twitter space code that connects to Discord, and then Hyperfy, and What I'm saying right now doesn't make any sense on purpose. That's why I'm asking you all the question, because I expect you all to know. So, what are your thoughts?
Sorry, what was? Can you repeat the question again?
So, what I'm asking is, there was mention of, in regards to, I guess, strengthening the metaverse or an open metaverse. There's an issue right now where there's a lot of disjointed platforms. So we have Twitter Spaces, Clubhouse, Discord, Hyperfi, Monoverse, and it seems like there are many people that want to interact with all these things, but they don't know how or where, and there's nothing really cohesive. There isn't anything that's really connecting all these things together. Would you say that a solution to this would be utilizing some kind of AI LLM that would be able to solve this issue if we can't solve it ourselves as humans?
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's I mean, I do think that even like a great starting point that we have now or is this concept of like being able to link like two different platforms like at a basic level of just like hyperlinking between the worlds. Like I think that's just having that as a base is like a great start. I mean, I wouldn't say like we would need to rely on an AI like on AI LLMs to in order to kind of get there. You know, I definitely have hope that we won't need that, and I'm not sure. I don't know. Yeah I think that we can definitely get there without relying on AI. I'm actually not sure. Does anyone have any idea like how would that? I'm trying to conceptualize like how that would work. Um, like how would we use AI to connect or how would AI connect everything? Yeah, that's a yeah, I'm like, wait, what is that actually? Yeah. I think we'll get there
Yeah.
without it though. You know, I think we're off to a great start. Just being able to like have a portal in Mona to Hyperfi to, you know, Webverse and jump all the way back, you know, between, you know, all these different platforms, you know. Yeah, is that
I guess for me, I think about it like it's humans inputting human things into the AI. So if humans can't figure it out, what makes AI, like where is that going to come from? There's not that like understanding, I guess, where I question it. Would it even know to do it?
why doesn't someone just ask like Chat GPT right now? How does can AI how does
Develop the AI strategy on the fly.
that'd be great.
The reason why I posed that question to you all is because that's kind of what Meta is attempting to pivot into, since their metaverse, their team that's working on that is failed badly. So they're pivoting into AI, and they're still trying to attempt to be the gatekeepers, and they're trying to establish a means of interoperability. So when you mention that, that's kind of what they're trying to make their money back on. So that's kind of the strategy for, I guess, for the next couple of quarters of this year or maybe early next year. But shift.
That's
Sorry,
specific
go
to metaverse, or is that more like PyTorch AI?
say the last word again. There was kind of like a ping or a sound or something that messed you up.
I said, is that specific to their metaverse worlds, or is that something like related to PyTorch?
They weren't specific. They just kind of hinted at their strategy since they lost a lot of money. But you know, they want to be as general and vague as possible so they can, like you mentioned previously, they want to kind of have like a blanket control. Oh, touche.
Yeah.
We have another question from Brookhawk. He wants to, oh, this is specifically for Jin. He wants to know about the open voxel /juicebox account and how people can contribute to open voxels. Got you. We also have a question from Johan. He would like to know, what are some dank NFTs right now? Cool. We have another question from Tantrum Tyler. They would like to know some of your thoughts on Pepe Coin.
What about Turbo? Are you really? That's amazing. That's awesome.
Considering that there were multiple Pepe-like coins or things attributed to the meme in the past, what would you say is the root cause of its success currently? Did I go mute? Did you all hear my question or no?
Yeah. No.
Yeah, I also I don't do the I don't really I'm not into the shit coins either, but I do love the Pepe memes. But otherwise I can't really answer the question that well. Maybe the meme of it, but yeah. Kind of disappointed that I missed out on it, to be honest, but you know.
We have a question from Johan. He would like to know, how should interoperable rarity / power work for wearables and gear?
Yo, in the essence of time, I just want to jump in here. I would love to get CK Bubbles' take on this question, though, just because I know she's like deep into wearable culture and might have takes on it. And then we could sort of kick to Paradox here for a group shot and wrap things up here as we're hearing from her.
Yeah, I actually prefer they them pronouns, FYI, for everybody. But yeah, I mean, I think in
Thanks for correcting me, CK.
Yeah, no problem. In Decentraland, you know, there's a lot of great sort of wearable collabs that happen amongst games, and it'll give you utility in 2 different games. It may even show up differently as a wearable depending on the parcel with the avatar swap that can happen. If you code that in, I would love to see that across platforms, not just across within one platform. I think that's really cool. Linked wearables are always awesome, where you get the NFT and then you get the wearable in many different places, whether that's interoperable or not. Because sometimes, you know, you got to make one for Sandbox, you got to make one for DCL, and then you can make a Ready Player Me version. Drafo is a really cool site. They just started selling VRMs for Hyperfi on that. Definitely check out Drafo, DROFFO, I believe it is. Yeah, I mean, there's just so much going on, so keep pushing it, I guess. Answer that.
Yes, that was dope. Really appreciate you hopping on, CK, Justin, Ahad, Jin, of course, for all your insight and knowledge that you've given to us today. Now we're gonna do the fun stuff, so don't leave just yet. Please hop in world. We got like a grip of potatoes in there right now. The potato mode question spawned a lot of metaverse potatoes. So please hop in real quick. We're gonna pass the mic over to Paradox. Paradox has got a little theme song if y'all haven't heard it before. So we'll get Paradox's theme song going while everyone's loaded in, and we'll take a nice potato shot here at the end of the whip. So thanks everyone for hopping on. Please stick around for just a little bit longer and get in world.
Do your thing, Dragonite.
Just a humble cameraman looking for a tiny bit of attention. It's me, Paradox. Get your asses in line and smile for the fucking camera. No one cares about Matthew and Rizzle, that's for sure. It's about me, Paradox. I'm taking over the show.
Okay, so if you've not been listening, I am Paradox. I am the resident WIP videographer. So if you are new to the WIP, I edit together a recap of these video of these events every single week, and Rizzle uploads them on his Twitter, so keep an eye out for those. So this is the point of the show where we take a group photo and I collect some more video to go into the video. So let's all gather. If you're here, all I'm going to say is where the potatoes are. So everybody over to potatoes, and if someone could let me know what the button is to dance, that would be great too. Anyone? What's the dance button? Any?
I was gonna say if you type /dance /cheer and /clap are other good alternatives.
Okay, amazing. So any of those, please. Yeah, slash dance, be cool. So I'm going to do a couple of things. I'm going to do a flyover, and I'm going to get some extra shots. Don't worry about that so much. You guys just get your dance on. Dragonate is going to kindly play some background music. So Dragonate, do your thing. Everyone else, get to dancing, please. Beautiful. And fade. Okay, you killed the fade. Amazing. Brilliant. Thanks, Dragonate. Okay, cool. So that is everything from me. I'll see you all next week. Cheers, guys. Paradox out.
Awesome, man. Thank you very much. Just a reminder, make sure everyone signs the guest list. I'm going to drop it right here in the chat, and then I'm going to close the responses afterwards so we don't get botted because we're giving away a lot of cool stuff. Thank you, everybody. It's been a cool whip. As always, got a lot of people in the house, a lot of people in HyperFi. Thanks, everyone, for coming out. I'm going to cross-reference with Matt here.